Hey folks, Alex Daikaiju from Cryptid Campfire here. I hope you enjoy our talks around the campfire about the weird and mysterious creatures like the Yeti and Melonheads. If you're looking for another podcast to fill that cryptid hole in your life, might I recommend Beasts of the Week podcast. Each week they have a new discussion on cryptids, demons, monsters, aliens, and other downright bizarre creatures that may or may not inhabit this world. So check it out. Ooh.
It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you people. He meddled in things. He meddled in myths.
Where will we go next? Just phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Mumbling.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
And we are good to go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cryptid Campfire. My name is Alex Daikaiju. To my left,
Jasmine with.
and across from me, attempting to eat 4 cookies is.
Eli Watson.
That's my gig. I eat the 4 cookies.
Too late, Jasmine.
You're stealing everyone's gimmicks. And we want to welcome you to Cryptid Campfire.
Hey!
Cryptid Campfire.
Heck
Alright.
yeah. If you're an old-time listener, we want to welcome you back. And if you're a new-time listener, we just want to say hello there. We like to get together, do some research, talk about some cryptids. And today's episode is none other than the infamous Mothman.
Ooh.
One of the big heavy hitters in the cryptozoology world. And
So, it's time for the quick summary.
yeah,
Brief synopsis.
A synopsis, if you will.
We're going to try a new little layout this time. Alex suggested, actually having an outline to what we're talking about, because I don't know if you've been able to notice, but we don't really have that in any of our previous episodes. So we're going to try and follow a little more direction
Yeah,
and see how that goes.
We usually do our own independent research and then get together and just kind of go over it, which leads to some fun results.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all kind of in the dark, but also it leads to us leaving out things or forgetting stuff. So,
So stick with us in this new format, and we'll see how it goes. This may also be a more than one-parter episode, guys. This might just be part 1.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
That's the
It's
dream.
been determined. So this is just part 1 of the Mothman episode.
This is Cryptid Campfire takes on multiple parters, part 2, after the disaster of the Bronze Age.
Oh, God. So, brief synopsis of the Mothman, if you have never heard of him or it before. It is in West Virginia folklore. The Mothman is this creature. You can assume what he looks like. It's literally a man with wings. I don't know why they chose moth. Probably because it sounds better than butterfly,
Because he's
man.
furry.
Well, do you know why they chose Mothman?
I don't.
They chose Mothman based on a Batman villain.
Oh, yeah?
Really?
Yeah. At the time, the newspapers were like, "Come see the amazing Mothman in West Virginia."
That's crazy.
And they just ripped off a Batman villain that nobody really remembers.
I remember him from Lego Batman.
Yeah.
He was in there.
For like a split second.
But-
He's
in
a playable. He's a playable character.
Oh, I thought you meant the movie.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, because he's a playable character in the video game.
Yeah.
And in the movie, he has a split second cameo with the Condiment King.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a man that has wings
Man-sized furry creature with
red
big
eyes.
red eyes.
Yeah. So this is he was reportedly seen in Point Pleasant between the years 1966 and 1967. To my understanding, there is just one Mothman. Last week we talked about gargoyles and we couldn't really narrow down exactly what a gargoyle
a broad
was.
range.
But to my understanding, there is only one Mothman. It's not really a species. It's just this one creature that was seen in this one area. Is that correct?
Yeah, as far as I can tell, it's just one Mothman. Just one creature that showed up in the 60s and kind of went away and
Yeah.
makes sporadic appearances every once in a while. There's not ever 2 in an area or 3 or... So it's just one lonely guy hanging out.
And the people of Point Pleasant get kind of... aggravated that that's all they're known for, because Point Pleasant is actually much more historically relevant than just Mothman. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and why Point
What are you
Pleasant
talking about?
is important.
None of that history matters.
Hmm.
Only Mothman.
Mothman.
Well, I mean, this history might be tied to why there's a Mothman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes.
So, you
Because
wanna-
one day, back in 1775, a giant moth was murdered there. And
No,
before
Eli.
they killed it, it said, I'm going to curse this land.
No, Eli.
I'll
That
be
didn't
back.
happen?
But before the town was charted in 1794, Native Americans called the area. Who wants to pronounce this? You know, you're
Ooh.
good with the foreign languages.
Where's it
Eli.
at? Where's it at?
It's the first word right here at the top of my screen, starting with a T.
Oh, to Indy Way.
Yes. That means mingling of the waters, or where two
Mm.
rivers meet. This is the oldest English town on the banks of the Ohio River, so that's fun
Ohio?
fact. Fun fact.
Ohio!
I wasn't
many-
aware.
How many Mothmen have you
I
seen?
haven't seen any.
When did you see them?
I didn't
What
see
did they
them.
look like?
Did they
but-
drive a Blue Granada?
The Ohio River becomes relevant later when we talk about something else that happened relating to the Mothman. But
Mhm.
that's the area that this is in.
Is it You Were Born?
No. No. So there
Hilarious.
there was a little bit of a battle that happened in Point Pleasant in 1774,
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Battle of Point Pleasant.
also known as
The Battle of Point Pleasant.
Lord Dunmore's War.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I will say, when I was doing my research for this, I got a little confused because I feel like there's multiple names for the same thing.
Mm.
Like, Lord Dunmore's War is the Battle of Point Pleasant, which was kind of the start of the Revolutionary
Well,
War.
the Battle of Point Pleasant was just one battle
one part of
Lord
The-
Dunmore's War.
The irony being it wasn't very pleasant at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell that to Mr. Cornstalk here.
That's Chief Cornstalk.
That's Chief.
That's
Cornstalk.
Mr. Chief Cornstalk to you, pale face.
So basically, Eli has a little bit more detail, I think, but I'll just give the quick overview of what this battle was. So, during the 70s, or the 1770s, I should specify, the 1770s.
They were fighting in bell bottoms and like giant peace signs.
The 1770s, the Shawnee Indians, I assume that's how you pronounce that. I'm always bad with.
Mm.
No,
Okay,
no.
so the Shawnee Indians, they were being kind of like encroached upon by white settlers. So there were trappers, traders, and settlers coming into their land, which was a part of the colonial conquest that I think the British were doing, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. I'm right. And so that was happening. So in 1774, the Virginia militia seized Fort Pitt and renamed it Fort Dunmore for the governor, John Murray, 4th Earl of Dunmore. So basically, the white folks were trying to take over this land, and the Indians didn't want that to happen. So battle ensued. The chief at the time was Chief Cornstalk. They were defeated, but to protect their families from the attack, the Shawnee chiefs agreed in the Treaty of Camp Charlotte to relinquish their hunting grounds to the white folk. So that's basically what happened, which is no
Yeah.
surprise.
Mm.
Would you like to elaborate?
Sure,
You
yeah.
probably have more detail than I do.
Yeah, so I got that it's Colonel Andrew Lewis led the fight against the Algonquian Federation,
Mhm.
primarily of Shawnee and Mingo warriors, and it was Chief Cornstalk, part of the Shawnee tribe, who was leading it. Like Jasmine said, they got beat back or whatever. But Chief Cornstalk did not die in that battle.
Mhm.
Most of these West Virginians consider this the first battle of the Revolutionary War, which I don't know why they would, because it's not what's
It's-
happening.
It's too soon, right?
Well, it's not even a conflict in the Revolutionary War.
What from what I can tell, I think people were trying to spin it into the start of like a Revolutionary War. Because I was reading a little bit about it, and from what it seems is they're like, okay, well this land this land dispute's happening.
Mm-hmm.
The British are attacking, the Native Americans, and Native Americans are fighting back. We should like fight back against these British and like stake our own land.
Yeah.
And I think they were trying to use it as like a poster. For,
Yeah.
like, hey, let's all join together and kick the British butt.
Yeah.
So I think that's why people are like, oh, it's kind of the start of the Revolutionary War, because that's like when people were being like, well, if they don't like the British, we don't like the British and this taxation BS.
Yeah. Well, it could also tie into what I'm about to say next as well. So, Camp Point Pleasant was established by Colonel Lewis at the time of the battle, and that's where Point Pleasant got its name, is from this camp. And so they had the permanent stockade that they built during the battle called Fort Blair. A couple years later, they tore it down and they put up Fort Randolph, named after the recently deceased Peyton Randolph. He was a Virginia official.
It was named in honor of the red-nosed reindeer.
Yeah.
Who gave his life?
You mean Rudolph?
Yeah. Wait.
The name is Randolph.
I kept reading that as Rudolph this entire time I've been researching.
No.
But
this is where it gets tricky. So it's 1777 now, and Chief Cornstalk rides to Fort Randolph. The Revolutionary War is in full swing, and this is the really messed up part, because these white people,
this
after destroying them,
effed up.
they expect these Native Americans to help them, so that the Americans can take their land later.
Yeah.
And so Chief Cornstalk's not having that. He rides to Fort Randolph to go tell them, I'm not going to help you fight the British, because you guys are...
That was my phone. My bad, guys.
Oh, no.
I got turned on silent.
It's messed up. And so instead of just accepting his neutrality claim, they capture him, throw him in prison, and then, after a couple of days, 2 militiamen who were stationed at this fort get killed by Indians, or Native Americans, and then they decide to retaliate and kill Chief Cornstalk and his son and 2 other Shawnee soldiers. And it's just so messed up that people say that there was a curse laid over the land for 100 years after Cornstalk died. Because the development after, once the new century hit, Point Pleasant really didn't develop till the late 1800s.
Yeah.
It was pretty much just this little fort. So, kind of a messed up story, but...
So the state park there has a memorial that has I don't know what word I'm trying to find. A statue. It's a memorial that commemorates the first battle. Monument. That's the word.
Monument.
Monument. There's a monument located in the land where the rivers meet. But in addition to that, Point Pleasant also has a river museum and a learning center. So they learn about river life and the commercial enterprise on the Ohio and other river, which I can't pronounce. Kanawha River? That's the other river.
Kanawha?
Quinoa?
So,
the Quinoa River?
In addition to all that war history, there's also a lot of information about floods and boat construction and steamers and river disasters. Water's a big thing in this area. So yeah, that Point Pleasant is more than just the Mothman, guys. That's what we're trying to say.
They build this town right at the conjunction of 2 rivers, and everything keeps flooding, and they're like, I don't understand why this town keeps flooding.
I do say there must be a curse on it. But I mean, I guess there's so much weird stuff that happens in West Virginia, especially Point Pleasant, that there's the theory that maybe it's... I mean, we'll talk about this later, but the chance that it might be in an interdimensional portal.
Whoa.
Yeah.
In the rivers?
Yeah.
In the conjunction?
The 2 conjunctions. What's your functions?
Junction, what's your function?
Surfing up Mothman and Indian Massacre.
Oh my god. So yeah. Mothman, the first sighting. Now, what do you guys consider the first sighting? Because
November 12th, 1966.
Let's see.
Yes, a couple days before the actual published article,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
which was a different sighting.
Yeah.
So first sighting, there's not really a ton of information on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just some dudes were digging a grave and they saw the Mothman.
Yeah, they were 5 guys digging a grave
Eating burgers.
eating burgers. One guy set his burger on the coffin, dipped his fries in the ketchup that he put on the tombstone.
Now I'm thinking about milkshakes because Five Guys has a delicious peanut butter
Oh,
one.
what if it was the 5 Guys Corporation?
Maybe.
They were originally started as like a grave digging company, and then they started turning the bodies into meat.
Okay.
And they made really okay burgers. Like I was gonna say good burgers, but I can't endorse 5 Guys.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And if you have any complaints, you can email us at cryptidcampfirepodcast@gmail.com.
Or Five Guys if you'd like to sponsor us.
Yeah, you know what the hell? You give us some money and I'll change my opinion real quick about your moldy ass burgers.
So, well, now that we know how Alex feels about
now that window
Five
closed.
Guys, that bridge is burned.
In-N-Out's better, man. Let's face it.
So these 5 men were just digging a grave in a cemetery.
For somebody, we don't know who.
Yeah, we don't know, but they saw something that looked like a, quote, brown human being, unquote, that flew from some nearby trees.
Problematic in hindsight.
Yeah.
Just a group of racists.
Well, we're not. Okay. Moving on. Do you have anything else to add from that one?
Well,
no,
they
guys.
saw it flew over their heads.
Yeah.
Did we say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. If
glided.
it was in a tree,
It was
glided
all like-
down.
And they were like,
They're trying to steal our burgers.
they're trying to steal our burgers.
But what's more important is the first documented sighting. So the first newspaper article came out a couple days later.
3 days later.
But we're not there yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not. We're not.
Where are we at?
There's more in between.
We're at the story behind the published article because that
Ooh.
happened first, and then the article was published.
Okay, but all of the information comes from the article.
Okay, you know what, Jasmine? I don't need this.
Okay.
Episode over. Thank you for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. So 3 days later.
Would you like to elaborate?
I
Because
don't-
it seems you've taken that
No.
transition.
All right. All right. It's 2 young married couples.
Okay.
We have Ranja.
Ranja.
Guys.
Roger and Linda Scarberry, okay?
All right.
And Steve and Mary
Mallet.
Mallet, yeah.
They were hitting the Scarberries with their mallet.
They were driving past the old TNT plant, which is about 5 miles north of Point Pleasant. Still contains explosives to this day.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so the factory has been vacant since World War II. Sorry, my nose just hit the mic. I think this is the same thing that you just mentioned, because I read about the National Guard Armory buildings. That was the former TNT factory. It's also now known as the State Wildlife Management Area, but the
Ironic.
Yeah.
But the area has huge concrete igloos that once housed TNT stockpiles. But by 1966, it was overgrown and mostly deserted.
Yeah, but there's still explosives in there somewhere.
Great.
And it's like an animal sanctuary now.
I know,
too.
right? It's like
There's bears walking around with dynamite in their mouths.
you just know that some kid one day is gonna be hanging around up there drinking alcohol.
Drinking and alcohol.
Drinking the alcohol and
Drinking and alcohol.
smoking the devil's lettuce.
And they're just gonna
Eli.
lean up on something and it's gonna go off.
It's gonna go kabooey.
And then the issue will be the animals. Okay, that's enough. All right. So it was Linda who spotted it first. She spotted eyes that were attached to something like a man, but larger, like 6 to 7 feet tall, and had big wings folded on its back. So Linda screams, and everyone's all like,
Jasmine just did a really good rendition of the Mothman's wings behind his back.
I look like those anime runners.
The Naruto run.
So Linda screamed. Everyone was all like, what? And they saw what they were looking at, and it was I forget who was driving. Hold on.
Was it
Roger.
Roger?
Roger slowed down to take a look at this thing, and they say that it spread its wings and flew at them, and then it chased them down Highway 62 at speeds of over 100 miles an hour, which is terrifying. And it chased them all the way to the city limit of Point Pleasant, and that's when Roger skirts to the side of the road, and they're talking about what they saw, and they decide to go back because they're like, this isn't real. We're gonna face our fears. It was just a weird looking bird, and they go back and they find it chilling on the side of the road, Route 62, and then as soon as the headlights hit it, it flies up into the air above the tree line, and Linda says that you can see the muscles in its legs.
It was doing squats on the side of the road.
Yeah, something like that.
Never skip leg day.
Yeah.
So it flew up.
And disappeared.
And
yeah.
So who saw the legs?
Linda saw the legs.
And how did she feel about that?
Well, Linda was pretty freaked out by it. So she said that the next day she was actually rushed to the hospital for a nervous breakdown, and she said that I wish I had never seen it. I wish someone else had seen it.
Ooh.
So deep stuff. It affected her deeply.
Which is interesting because the article is also quoted. I probably could go back and see exactly which person said it, but I went and read the original article in an archive online, and one of the quotes actually says that they compared it to an angel. They said it didn't resemble a bat in any way, but, quote, maybe what you would visualize as an angel, unquote. Because I think we, earlier, before we were recording, we were talking about how there's no, like, real good description for what the head of the Mothman looks like.
Yeah. It's only just the eyes. Like, everyone always notices the eyes and the wings.
But someone had to see its face at some point.
Especially if they hit it with the car lights.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, like, they don't clarify what kind of angel, right? They just say it looks like an angel.
Yeah.
It was one of those naked babies.
Yeah, it was a little cherub. With big legs.
That sings like the Jonas Brothers. Did anybody watch Night at the Museum 2?
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Oh no. I haven't thought about Night at the Museum 2 since the first time I saw Night at the Museum 2. Now it's all coming back. So that's the first recorded sighting of Mothman. So we talked about the 5 guys in the cemetery, the 2 couples who saw him, and then I guess throughout the next few days, people reported seeing something similar.
Yeah, okay, so check this out. Okay, ready? Because I don't know if anyone else got it. It's the same night as the other sighting.
Same night.
I don't know if you guys got this, but it takes place in Salem, 90 miles north. And when I read this, I was honestly pretty freaked out.
Is it the lady?
No, it's a dude.
Okay.
So it takes place around 10:30 p.m., which is technically before.
Okay.
Because the other one was at midnight. They said they were driving around midnight.
Okay. So time zone difference?
No, it's up north, but same time zone, just different location.
Okay.
Yeah. So 10:30 p.m. and this guy Newell Partridge. You guys, none of this sounds familiar?
Nope.
Is this
Whoa.
the name's not, but describe the scenario.
All right, so Newell Partridge, he's watching TV.
Oh, the poltergeist, right?
Oh!
He's
a contractor.
I'm just gonna go.
Just go for it.
Story.
Yeah, you know.
We got more dogs to deal with.
Ooh,
Okay.
Yes.
So Newell Partridge watching TV when it cut black, and then what he describes as a weird pattern filled the screen, and a high-pitched whining noise that raised in pitch was like outside, and then it suddenly stopped. And he describes it as a generator winding up. And then his dog Bandit starts going nuts, starts barking, and Newell decides to go find out what the heck's going on. He goes outside and finds that Bandit's barking towards the barn. So he gets his flashlight and points it out, and he sees 2 red circles. He describes them as like those little red parts on the
Little
bikes.
bicycle reflectors.
Yeah, and he says he remembers thinking that these 2 red orbs couldn't be eyes.
Yeah.
But they unnerved him. And Bandit kept barking at it. Bandit decided to go jump and chase after these eyes.
Yeah.
He called Bandit back, but Bandit wasn't paying attention. So he goes back inside to go grab his gun, but he's too scared to come back outside. And so he sleeps with his gun propped up next to his bed. And he never sees Bandit again.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, he reads about the first encounter, which, was the same night.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it was actually from this account, I think they call, or from the other account, they call him, the media calls him Mothman.
Yeah. And
reveals him to the world.
let's see. There was something. There was. I don't know if it was. What was his name? Newell or
Newell Partridge.
Newell. I don't know if it's him because I remember researching the story because it takes place in Salem. Weird TV sees the Mothman eyes in the barn. Bandit disappears, and then like a couple days later, I think it's him driving, or someone told him they were driving. And they saw like a large dog body on the side of the road.
Whoa.
And then when they went to go look, it was gone.
Whoa.
Yeah, so the theory is that either Mothman took Bandit and ate him, or my theory
Oh God.
that Mothman adopted Bandit
Oh dear.
from this abusive drunk who sleeps with a shotgun, and then they're best friends forever now.
Oh, you need to make some artwork. Of
Yeah, that'll
that.
maybe,
Mothman and Bandit.
yeah, the adventures of Mothman and Bandit.
I don't think Newell will like that very much.
Oh, you know what? The guy gets a gun and is too afraid to go outside. You're supposed to be more courageous when you have a gun. But so that's all Newell Partridge
Yep.
and Mothman's new pet Bandit, which he renamed. He gave him a proper name like
El Bandito.
El Bandito. Yeah. He called him the Frito Bandito.
So other than those are kind of like the most relevant stories because I wasn't really able to find any more on any specific sightings.
There's one small sighting that was so after the 2 couples saw Mothman and Newell Partridge at his encounter. My research says during the next few days, other people reported similar sightings. 2 volunteer firemen who saw it said it looked like a large bird with red eyes.
Huh.
And then it was interesting is Mason County Sheriff George Johnson, he commented that he believed the sightings were due to an unusually large heron, which is like a big bird. Looks kind of like a stork with extra long legs.
You're saying the Mothman sightings are because of a fish?
No, a bird.
Oh, a bird.
A big old bird.
Oh, got you.
But what's great. What's great is
You said heron, and I thought herring.
oh, it was a big red heron.
I heard
Yeah.
heroin. So.
Oh.
He's like, all these people are doing heroin. But what's great is this guy calls the heron. He called it a term called a shite poke.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
what?
yeah. That's the name of the bird.
Which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
So apparently there's a bird out there called a shite poke.
But sightings really only lasted about 13 months, and they kind of stopped after this genuinely tragic event known as the Silver Bridge collapse.
There's the photo too, right?
Yeah.
With Mothman on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I did not see the photo.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, let's see.
I was told that only drawings exist, and then there's that one guy who claims to have taken photos that looks like it could just be a bird carrying a snake or something like
yeah.
that. I don't know.
It's a big, like an owl.
It's
It's like the guy who took a picture of the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
It's
So
just
basically,
goat?
what happened is one of the eye-bar connections failed due to a minute manufacturing defect exacerbated by stress and corrosion. So the Silver Bridge over the Ohio River did collapse, and unfortunately 46 people were killed. And some people thought that the timing was a little suspicious dealing with the Mothman.
How many people did you say?
46.
Oh, okay. Mine says 47.
Ugh.
So there's one person unaccounted for.
But people connected this with the Mothman in two really strange ways. Some people believing that the Mothman was the cause of it, like it was his fault, like he did it, he made the bridge collapse, you know, he's a bad omen and whatever. But then other people believe that the Mothman was trying to warn them of the forthcoming tragedy.
Ooh, like the
Like-
NASA gargoyle
Yeah.
with the Challenger rocket
Yeah.
that blew up, and we just couldn't read its message in the German
Basically.
Shepherd guts.
Yeah.
We don't
So-
speak your language.
But sorry, my phone is glitching.
Ooh,
It's fine.
it's a parallel dimension.
It's doing
Well,
this weird thing.
Did we already talk about how the everyone who saw it like was either on the bridge or had a family member on the bridge?
Really?
Yeah, and it's like a thing like every single person who saw it
Had some
Really?
connection
had
to
some
the bridge.
connection to
No
the tragedy.
way, I
on
didn't
the
know
bridge.
that.
Yeah.
So this
That's
is
why it's like really weird.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is one of the theories about the Mothman, and we'll get more into this because there's a couple books written about this theory.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, the belief is that the Mothman is somehow connected to this bridge collapse.
Here's the picture that I've always
Yeah.
seen.
Is this real?
I'm not sure. I
I
was hoping you guys would know, but I can research into it
Well,
live.
I didn't even come across this.
I can do it live.
Ooh,
I can do it
We're
live.
doing it live.
I can do it. I can watch. Do it. Yeah.
Do it.
Do it.
So I don't know how long this episode is running right now. Like we said, this is going to be a two-parter.
Yeah, we're kind of laying the groundwork of, I guess, the Mothman legacy, like the sightings, the bridge collapse, a little bit of history of Point Pleasant. That way we don't get too distracted because there's a lot of theories and a little more weird kind of stuff involved with the Mothman, which will probably be good for part 2, which
Yeah.
will be a little more random and kind of out there.
So you guys want to talk about the two guys who wrote the books?
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick, we were talking about sightings. I found one other sighting, that happened, like a day or two after the, was it November? I know. When was the recorded one? Was
The first one?
yeah, that happened November 15th.
Okay.
So the article I said didn't give a time frame, but it said shortly after the recording or the first recorded sighting and the guy's dog Bandit, Marcella Bennett, who was completely unaware of all the sightings, she was visiting a friend living close in West Virginia, Point Pleasant. She drove her car to her friend's house and then left her car to walk to the house when she was confronted by a large gray human-like creature that had giant wings and red eyes. She was so terrified that I guess she dropped her daughter. Because
Wow.
she had her like baby with her, and she dropped the baby, and then kind of fumbled, picked the baby back up, ran into her friend's house, and I guess they just kind of stayed in the house for like a few hours while the Mothman was like going through window to window looking inside
What
the house.
F?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Where'd
And
you
they
find
didn't
this
see
story?
its face?
because I guess they like huddled into like the center of the house,
Wild.
and they called the police, but by the time the police got there, it had vanished. But yeah, I guess it was just like tapping on the walls and
That's weird.
peeking in through the windows.
Can I ask what your source is on this story? Because I hadn't come across it in my
Yeah,
research.
this is from medium.com. Strange but True Mothman Saga. And it's written by...
Michael
Nick.
Jackson.
Yeah, Michael Jackson wrote it, don't you know? I don't know who wrote it. It doesn't say.
Yeah, some of these sites don't post their authors, which I think is weird.
Yeah,
but-
it's mentioning other articles to read with someone's name attached at the bottom, but this one doesn't have an author. But I believe it's true because what the hell? It's a good story.
Speaking of authors, so we got two guys that I want to talk about. And
Two
the main
fellas.
reason that I want to talk about it is because, you know, this bridge collapse, this is a real thing. This
Mhm.
really happened.
Real tragedy.
And this dude wrote a book about it. and basically exploited this theory for his own personal gain.
Mhm.
So basically what happened is there's two authors that I want to talk about, John Keel and Gray Barker. Now, most people know about Mothman from Keel's 1970 book, The Mothman Prophecies, which, as we and maybe others know, turned into a movie in 2002.
Mhm.
With Richard Gere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so basically this book is about the investigations that Keel did himself around Point Pleasant. It's got accounts from different witnesses. He talks about government conspiracy, beings from other dimensions, which we'll touch on in part 2.
Oh heck yeah.
Men in Black, all of this stuff. And he connects the Silver Bridge collapse to the Mothman. This was the first book that really did this. However, there's contradiction here because 5 years prior to that, somebody else wrote a book about this bridge collapse, and it was titled The Silver Bridge. This was Gray Barker. He wrote this book in 1970, and this was the first book that connected the Mothman to the bridge collapse, but not a lot of people knew about it because it had a short publishing run, so it wasn't widely known.
Mhm.
And what's crazy about it is this other guy that we're talking about, Keel, right after that first book came out, around the same time The Silver Bridge was released, Keel published Strange Creatures from Time and Space, which is also reprinted today under a new title, The Complete Guide to Mysterious Beings. But in this book, he mentions the Mothman story. He doesn't really go into deep detail about it. He just gives the basic facts of the few recorded encounters. But he basically refutes Barker's claims and directly contradicts himself, what he would say 5 years later, because he says it is completely erroneous to blame the collapse of the rickety old Silver Bridge on flying saucers or men in black. But then 5 years later, he writes this Mothman Prophecies book talking about all these conspiracies and all this stuff. And what's even crazier is that these two authors knew each other, and they wrote letters back and forth. Did you guys read about this at all?
No, I have a little bit of info about John Keel, but nothing about that.
So they wrote to each other. Like, they knew each other existed. And it kind of makes me mad because in one of his letters, Barker... Is that the right... Sorry, I'm getting the two guys confused.
We'll edit out this dead space.
Edit out
Yeah.
the dead space.
What the hell?
Don't worry, this episode's gonna require a lot of work.
It's gonna be Frankenstein together.
Pretty much.
So basically, in 5 years, Keel went from denying any involvement of Mothman with the Silver Bridge to creating one of the most elaborate and bizarre cryptid tales ever told.
But maybe he had good sources that revealed to him the secrets.
Yeah. He talked to the
yeah.
Mothman himself. Got the story.
Could have.
But
He got the pet bandit too.
Yeah, he got banned.
But what's annoying is that these guys wrote to each other, and in 1970, Barker said, the kooky books are about all that I can sell these days. I lost the sensible subscribers long ago, so I get a kick out of letting it reflect the utter mental illness of the field. So it's just crazy to me that, like, one of the most serious and, like, dark theories is just, like,
A hodgepodge.
like, it's just some dude, like, made it elaborate to, like, sell books and make money and didn't even really believe it, and I don't know, it's just...
John Keel's pretty interesting, because did you look into him at all, or just his books?
I just looked at his books, but I have a quote, or I have a comment about his obituary, because he has passed away since then, but, I mean, he's also the guy who claimed that the Mothman attempted to carry off a Red Cross bloodmobile, which there's no evidence for.
Mothman misunderstood how to donate blood.
I guess so.
He's like, I'll donate the blood, and he went to go pick up the truck and drop it off in front of the hospital. Was there a quote you wanted to say, or was that the quote?
Well, it's just the person who in the obituary, skeptic and author Robert Schaefer talked about meeting Keel, describing him as a trickster. Schaefer added, he did not seem to be taking his own writings very seriously, which suggests that they were entertaining stories that paid the bills. If Keel's manner doesn't offer solid evidence of his fictionalizing, maybe the outlandishness of his tales do better. He once claimed, with no witnesses or evidence, that Mothman attempted to carry off a Red Cross bloodmobile, as Mothmen do. So that's the quote. I don't know why I took...
As Mothmen do?
As Mothman do.
It's been known. This has happened before.
It runs in their blood. Well, what's funny, my favorite thing is reading about John Keel. He was born in New York. He was the son of a small-time band leader. He was interested in magic, and then in parentheses, illusion. And had
Mind freak! Mind freak! Mind freak! Sorry. Mind freak! Are you ready?
Newsflash. It's just Chris Angel is actually Mothman. But
Yeah,
super ripped.
I would not be surprised.
It's the greatest illusion ever pulled off. It's 60 years old.
Yeah.
He published his first story in a magician's magazine at the age of 12. And my favorite thing is he left school at the age of 16 after taking all the science courses. So I'm assuming he was into magic, and then he got to school and they said, "Here's what science is." And he said, "I'm out."
Wow.
Science is alive. And he wrote about flying saucers. He traveled around Egypt. He apparently was a member of the Screenwriters Guild. And he reportedly wrote scripts for Get Smart, The Monkees, Mac and Meyer for Hire, and Lost in Space.
Hey, with the monkeys.
Yeah, you can't trust anything this guy says.
Yeah, he popularized the term Men in Black. In 1966, he produced the spy and superhero spoof novel, The Fickle Finger of Fate.
Fickle Finger of Fate.
Which is pretty
Who is this guy?
I don't know who this guy is.
We are talking about Keel, the author
John
of
Keel.
Mothman Prophecies.
His
What
Wikipedia page is like he also he spent time in Egypt and India investigating the Indian rope trick and the legendary Yeti, apparently.
Dude.
I know what the Indian rope trick is.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
What is it?
It's kind of dark, but...
Okay. Do you swallow the rope and then comes out your anus and you stand it up?
No, dude, it's pretty wild. So check it out, okay?
All
So
right.
you have a basket, and out of the basket comes a little boy. And then, right, so this little boy, right?
Is this a Catholic trick?
No, dude, it's weird. Okay, so check it. It's fucking wild. Oop,
Bleep.
I'll edit that out. So inside the basket, there's the boy, he comes out, and then there's the rope. And the magician, he takes the rope and he throws it up in the air, and it sticks up like a pole.
Yeah.
And he has the boy climb up it, and according to the stories is that it goes up so high that it goes into the clouds.
Okay.
So the boy climbs up it, and when he gets up to the clouds, there's like silence for a few minutes, and then you just start seeing body parts fall from the sky.
Shut up.
Uh-huh.
No joke. And you see like arms and stuff, and then you take all the pieces of the boy and you put them back in the basket and you cover it up, and then out of the basket the boy comes back fully reformed, and that's the rope trick.
That's weird.
Is it
Definitely something Chris Angel would do.
Is that you said it's kind of dark.
Yeah.
Is it because they really cut up the kid and have it like a twin?
Yeah, it's a twin.
Yeah, it's The Prestige.
What?
Spoiler.
Oh yeah.
So some kid really dies?
Yeah, but I don't know. They do
Magic
it
is
differently
whack.
nowadays. They do it differently nowadays.
They use clones.
What kid volunteers for that?
They don't.
They don't.
They find two twins and they're like, all
Oh
right.
my goodness. We have.
And look, ever since they stopped doing the rope trick, India's now overpopulated. So
Eli!
Whoa.
Jesus!
Oh boy, that's a stepping stone. John Keel, he passed away in July 3rd, 2009.
Oh.
You could say he keeled over.
Too soon.
Not soon enough. This guy was a liar.
I know.
Alright.
He's a shuckster.
R.I.P.
But yeah, so that's John Keel. That's a little bit of the Mothman history.
We're actually going to watch the Mothman Prophecies.
Yeah.
And might be a part 3 to this.
Yeah, so our
podcast.
goal is, this is part 1, talking about the history, talking about the Mothman. Part 2, we're going to talk about the weird stuff, the Men in Black, some theories.
Yeah.
In Part 3, we're going to watch Mothman and Prophecies and maybe review it just for schnitz and giggles. I think that kind of draws Part 1 to a close, you could say. It's been a lot of fun talking about people seeing Mothman's buff legs, him adopting a dog, colonial era West Virginia.
Yeah, now that you're recapping, we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
This is why we have an outline. Can you imagine what it would have been if we didn't have an outline?
That's why I was like, we should do an outline.
Yeah.
But we want to thank you guys for listening. If you want to tweet at me, I'm Alex Daikaiju. You can message me about Mothman, Godzilla. I post random tweets for fun.
None of his tweets make any sense.
They're just for fun. And if
Take from them what you want.
Yeah, pretty much. Boston Market liked my Boston Market tweet.
It's true.
I saw that.
And if I wanted to at you about anything,
you can find me on Twitter at JasmineMayW. That's JasmineMaeW. Let me know that you heard of me on Cryptid Campfire. I get random followers every once in a while, and I kind of wonder where they come from. So if you've been a listener, let us know. That way we know we're reaching people. And Eli, where can they find you?
Yeah, if we want to tweet at you about your offensive Indian jokes, where can we find you, fella?
You can find me at EJ Workshop on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at us. Let us know if you find us on Twitter through Cryptid Campfire. Let us know what you think of the show. We're always, looking for feedback. If you like it, if you want us to work on anything.
Yeah, we also have an Instagram for Cryptid Campfire too. It's literally just that. Cryptid Campfire. Eli runs it most of the time, posting fun cryptid facts. So you can give us a follow on there. Tag us in any stories you have. Like if you do artwork, we've seen a couple of those. Like if you do artwork of just cryptids in general, like tag us in it and we'll share it.
Yeah.
So
This is true.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. We'll see you next week when we talk about more weird Mothman stuff.
Goodbye.